Would you believe that this is the penultimate weekend of championship score predictions and in football? I mean, since the restart, the season's gone so quickly. I don't want it to end. This is what we're currently dealing with the championship table. Obviously, Leeds now on 87 points, 1 point away from automatic promotion. The tiniest of margins Leeds now have to come across to get automatic promotion. The relegation zone, we've got Barnsley on 43, Luton, Hull and technically Wigan on 45 points with Charlton 47 and Huddersfield 48. The promotion, relegation and the playoff battle is all so exciting. Got any suggestions on what sort of content you want me to do next when the championship season finishes? Let me know in the comments down below because I'm really contemplating what I need to do. Speaking of your comments, I'll include your comment on the screen right now if you've got a correct score. A lot of you saw my reaction video, hence why there's so many different people with comments, a load of new people entering the Lexus Hall of Fame as well. This is what the current Lexus Hall of Fame looks like, and trust me, things could change so quickly if one of you has a really good week of predictions. 2 batches of games, that is over 40 games, including the Premier League's games left to predict as well. Anything can happen. If you guys like what you see and you want to see more content, please make sure you do give this video a like. It is tremendously appreciated. I'd like to thank you on the support on the channel recently. We're on 191 subscribers as it stands. If you can, please, let's try and get to 200 subscribers before the end of the season. That will be a reasonable target, I think. But without any further ado, let's hop into my predictions of this weekend's games. First game we have is Huddersfield going up against West Brom. This is Friday's game, and already it looks like we've already got a goal in FIFA 20 simulation for this game. Who leads? And it's terrific news for West Brom fans because Hal Robson-Kanu has just scored for West Brom completely against the run of play, because Huddersfield have had all the chances in the early exchange, but Kravinovic and Hal Robson-Kanu do some brilliant 1-2 play, and Hal Robson-Kanu pings a shot in the top right corner. A promotion worthy goal, I'd say. Against the run of play, West Brom lead. Interesting, West Brom lead at the moment, but what do I think about the game? I think this is a very important game for both sides. Both sides had a 0-0 draw in midweek. A result for Huddersfield surely should see them survive the drop, and a win for West Brom will see them with touching distance of getting automatic promotion back to the Premier League. Huddersfield have really been struggling to score. They've not scored in their last 4 games, over 6.5 hours of not scoring a goal. Carlton Grant needs to get his scoring boots back and quick. With West Brom, they have Brentford breathing down their legs, so they cannot afford to drop any more points, because if they do, I think West Brom will lose their place in the automatic promotion places. Before I predict the score, apparently we've got a second goal in FIFA 20's game. Do you have an equaliser from Huddersfield, or have West Brom really strengthened their lead? Let's find out. It's the latter. West Brom have a second. After their first goal, they had their tails up and look really dangerous. Mateus Pereira put in a perfect through ball to Howard Zakanu, who beats Harry Toffolo. He decides to square it to Callum Robinson, who has an easy finish. It's going to be harder for Huddersfield to come back now. 2-0 West Brom. Intriguing circumstances there. However, I don't think there will be many goals. I think I'll have to give the edge to West Brom due to their quality and the fact they've got higher stakes. I think I'm going to edge West Brom by 2-0. FIFA 20 seems to agree with me, and in fact, you know, scrap that. Apparently we've got a third goal from FIFA 20, and my goodness me, West Brom are performing like a team that really wants to get back to the Premier League. West Brom have at least 3 points here today. It's a terrific result for them. Terrific build-up play for the goal. Villiers back pass to Hal Robson-Kanu is completely different gravy. O'Shea with a gorgeous cross finds Callum Robinson. Richard Stearman can't stop him. It's 0-3 to West Brom. 1 game away potentially from the Premier League. How big of a win can this be? We'll soon find out. 3-0 West Brom. FIFA 20 thinks that West Brom will win by 3-0, so pretty similar predictions. Let's see which one of us will be right. Now we have Charlton going up against Wigan, a huge game in the bottom of the table, and both teams with a win could put them in a great position to stay up. It's essential that both of these teams play for wins, as Charlton have a really tough game against Leeds United, and Wigan have a final tough game against Fulham, and realistically, it's going to be difficult for both of these sides to get 3 points, so you would think that both of these sides are desperate to get a maximum of 3 points in this game. I think Wigan are in need of it a little bit more since they are 2 points behind Charlton if you apply their 12-point deduction. Going on to Wigan, obviously they had that 8-0 victory over Hull City, but we've seen it often where teams score so many goals, they go on a little bit of a drought and don't perform well. You saw it with Brentford beating Luton by 7-0. They go on to lose against Sheffield Wednesday. Then you see the likes of Reading beating Luton by 5-0. Afterwards, Reading drew with Huddersfield 0-0. So It's really difficult for me to believe that Wigan's going to struggle, but they could easily struggle. Especially with a defence as tough as Charlton's, who looked very organised against a really robust Birmingham side. I'm really unsure who to back here. I'm thinking 1-0, but which team to win? This is my toughest decision yet, actually, because honestly, the one who I don't predict to win will be in serious danger. I think I'm going to edge a 1-0 away victory for Wigan. I'm not too sure on that one though. It could really go either way. If either 20 thinks it'll be 0-0, it's going to be a real tight, probably a cagey game. The next game we have is Stoke versus Brentford, and right off the bat, on like one of the first minutes, we already have a lead in FIFA 20's games. Who's taken a very early lead? That's right, Brentford have taken the lead. It's a fast start by Brentford, who scored with their first attack in the game. Jensen and De Silva were involved in the build-up, and Stoke's defence completely turned to melted chocolate. Or just Hull City's defence, and Watkins beats Danny Bath to the ball and scores past Butland, 0-1. Really good start for Brentford, but what I think this is going to be a very intriguing encounter. Since getting battered 5-0 by Leeds, Stoke have really improved. Defensively, they've looked a lot better, and attacking wise, they look a lot more confident going forward. But they face probably the most intimidating side since the restart, Brentford, who look like a team that they are not slowing down anytime soon. Having said that, they only beat Preston by 1-0, and a lot of that game they were left very frustrated for how difficult Preston were making for Brentford to try and break them down. If Stoke can play a similar way in terms of trying to win the ball back, winning their interceptions and putting them under pressure with pace, I think Stoke could have a chance. But I think with Brentford, with pressure of the top two being on the line, I think they have to approach this game with really good attitude. I think I'm going to edge Brentford for a 2-1 away victory. But Stoke are definitely not going to be any easy customers. And before I move on, I think we have a second goal in FIFA 20. Have Brentford wrapped up the win, or have Stoke thrown a spanner in the works of the promotion race? It's a huge goal in the promotion race. The score is 1-1, and it's Tyrese Campbell who has scored it for Stoke City. It's a bizarre goal to say the least, where he shoots it, but Pinnock blocks it. The ball rises about 12 feet in the air. Campbell, completely unpressured by the defence, strikes a valiant volley past David Raya. That is how the game finished 1-1, a huge result from Leeds and West Brom. FIFA 20 thinks Brentford will drop points. Nevertheless, it's going to be an intense game with intense stakes to play. Next up, we've got Queen's Park Rangers going up against Millwall. When I looked at this game in the future, I thought it was going to be two mid-table clubs going up against each other, so there wouldn't be much to play for. But I have to give credit to Millwall. They had a slow start trying to get into the restart, but they've now got in a fantastic run of form and are very tough to break down, getting clean sheets in their last 2 to 3 games. As for Queen's Park Rangers, it was an improved performance against Luton Town, but I think they have been playing with the mentality that they have been on the beach recently. This could be the sort of game that Millwall can trip over off, and I don't know why, I just have an instinct that Queen's Park Rangers might get something here. I think Millwall will lose ground. I'm going to say this is a 1-1 draw. FIFA, however, thinks this will be a 0-0. I hope not. Now, so we've got Preston going up against Birmingham. There are two teams that are not in great form right now. Preston only have 1 win in 9, and Birmingham have not won in their last 12 matches. If Preston wants to have any chance of getting into the playoffs, they have to win this game and hope that Millwall, Swansea, and Cardiff all lose points. If none of those things happen, then Preston, you're going to have to deal with another year in the Championship, I'm afraid. As with Birmingham, I think they are safe from the drop, but I do think a heavy defeat could put them in a little bit of a precarious position, but I think they're safe following the teams below them. Birmingham fans, let me know what you think about Jude Bellingham managing to complete his medical to move on to Borussia Dortmund in the summer. For me, I'm excited to see how he'll relish in Bundesliga. I think he can really suit Borussia Dortmund's system and how he likes to play. I could really see him being a very integral part in Borussia Dortmund's system next year. I have a feeling, looking at the two teams, that Preston will be okay in this game. I think this will be a 2-1 victory to Preston. FIFA 20 thinks this will be a 0-0 draw. Now in Middlesbrough against Cardiff, of course, Neil Warnock welcoming his old club, Cardiff City. Since Neil Warnock took over, Middlesbrough have been a little bit hit and miss, but especially away from home, Middlesbrough have been really strong. And I think their away victory versus Reading, where yes, they rode their luck a little bit of times, but they grinded out a result. It's just the Neil Warnock way. And I think following that they've cracked 50 points, I think Middlesbrough can relax a little bit now. As for Cardiff, they cannot relax right now. They've got 6th place to defend. They've got Swansea, Millwall sniffing up for this place. There's a little bit of doubt whether that Lee Tomlin's going to be fit enough for Cardiff in this game. He's been sustaining a knee injury, and I was actually surprised he actually started and he actually scored a goal for Cardiff in the midweek game. I think following Middlesbrough's struggle at home, I think the Cardiff may be okay and they may get revenge over Neil Warnock. I'm going to say a 2-1 away victory. I think it'll be really tight. I think Middlesbrough will cause some problems, especially in some set-piece situations. I think Cardiff will just about edge it. And before we move on, we've got one goal to report on FIFA. Who's got the winner?
It is Cardiff who have the goal. It's not been a great game with only 2 shots on goal, but it's great play between Callum Patterson and Josh Murphy, with Patterson being found in space. George Fry can't get there, but Patterson takes a cool finish past Ainsley Pears. Cardiff get their revenge over their former manager Neil Warnock and confirm their place in the playoffs. Neil 1 Cardiff.
Interesting, FIFA 20 thinks that Cardiff will get a 1-0 away victory. Should be a very intriguing reunion with Neil Warnock. Next is Hull versus Luton, another huge game in the bottom of the table clash. Both teams had a pretty bad result midweek. Hull somehow have to turn around an 8-goal drumming from Wigan and try to move on to save themselves. This, I think, is the perfect game they can try and get a good response on, because Luton are not the strongest side and they're not the best side in the Championship. Luton have been pretty consistent since the restart. They've only lost 1 game out of their last 7 games since the restart, which was a 5-0 battering against Reading. For me, Luton need more wins. They've kept drawing games and only winning twice since the restart. And if they turned more of those draws to win, Luton could be in a very safe position, you know, a little bit similar to where Middlesbrough are right now. Luton have a 100% away record so far since the restart, winning 2 away victories in a row. I think that's the only edge I'm going to give out of the 2 teams. Hull would want to keep it tight to the back. I think I'll edge a 1-0 away victory for Luton. Before we move on, we have a very dangerous free kick worth checking out. Let's see who's got it.
That's right, Luton Town have a free kick in a very good position. I think it's around 20 yards out or something. And I think it's going to be Isaiah Brown who's going to take the free kick. Here he comes right now. Oh! Has it gone past the line? It has! According to goal line technology, the ball has just passed the line. To be honest, when I saw the ball hit the ground, it did look like it was fully over. Luton Town have led, and that's actually how they won their game without having a shot on target. Isaiah Brown scored a goal that almost matched Frank Lampard's ghost goal 10 years ago. This tiny margin could see Luton survive, or more brutally, it could see Hull City relegated. Great win for Luton, with Hull, at least it's a 7-goal improvement. Neil 1 Luton.
Goodness me. Game decided by a matter of millilitres. A really brutal result for Hull, and if any side doesn't win this game, it will be a brutal task to try and stay up. Next game is Fulham versus Sheffield Wednesday, both sides being part of a 0-0 draw in midweek. Fulham had a respectable performance against West Brom for me. As for Sheffield Wednesday, I thought they were a little bit unlucky not to get more in the game against Huddersfield. Odubaju and Harris did have 2 great chances, and Lossell made some 2 terrific saves to keep them out, and I think if any of those chances came in, it could have been a very different game. I think with 2 different styles of play and both in a pretty good run of form, I think I'll edge this game as a 1-1 draw. I can't really edge a side to win. FIFA 20 has gone for a very boring 0-0 draw. Now Blackburn versus Reading. This prediction I am really struggling with, because both sides are only separated by 4 points in the table. Blackburn had a really poor defeat against Millwall, where they had a very poor first half. They did improve second half, but they didn't look very dangerous going forward and testing Bilkowski and Millwall's goal. Reading had another home defeat, and this time it was to the hands of Neil Warnock's Middlesbrough. They started off very brightly with Neil Moore getting the lead, but over time they just capitulated. And like I said yesterday, Reading only had 1 home win since Boxing Day. I mean, that is absolutely shocking. Reading definitely need to fix their home form, and this is not only just because of now. They need to improve for next season as well if they want to have a decent next season in the Championship. I think following with the injuries I'm hearing with Reading, they've got Noah Jaria, Yeardum and Pella. They are all out with an injury. I think I'll edge Blackburn for a 2-1 victory, but I'm not ruling out an away victory for Reading here. Once again, we have a goal in FIFA 20. Who has scored the winner in this game?
Perhaps surprisingly, Reading have found the breakthrough, and the 3 points in this game, according to FIFA 20, is a beautifully worked goal. Ajaria charges through the left-hand side, supplying the ball to Reno Motta. He slips a short pass to Ajaria, where his first-time pass finds Puskas in a great position, who calmly finishes it past Walton. Great goal and a great win for Reading. 0-1.
Interesting that FIFA 20 disagrees with me, but let's see who's right at the end of this. This is the last of Saturday's games. We've got Swansea going up against Bristol City. Both teams have looked pretty good in the last couple of games or so. Swansea managed to get a valiant draw against Nottingham Forest with Ryan Brewster and Andre Ayew again on the score sheet. Carl Norton did get a straight red card though with a really poor challenge. He will miss the rest of the season from now, which could be a big blow for Swansea. As with Bristol City, they lost their 100% record since Lee Johnson was sacked, getting a 1-1 draw with Stoke. They had a pretty good first half. Stoke grew into it, and I think they just could not deal with Stoke's pressure. I think Swansea will try and outpossess Bristol City, which I don't think they mind. Bristol City are a really good counter-attacking team and don't really have a lot of the ball that much. Swansea will try and outpass them, outwither them, and try and get more shots on. However, Bristol City have a very strong record against Swansea. 4 wins in their last 6 meetings against the two sides. For me, looking at the form, I think this is going to be a 2-2 draw. Despite Freddie Woodman being injured to the rest of the season, I actually think Mulder had a pretty good performance in Swansea's goal against Nottingham Forest. FIFA 20 completely disagrees with me and thinks it will be a 0-0 draw. I hope I'm right. Then we go on to Sunday's games, the first one being probably the biggest game of the championship so far. This could decide promotion. Derby versus Leeds. Derby had a pretty good performance against Cardiff actually, and were probably unlucky not to draw it, but the only reason that they lost the game was from 2 really silly mistakes from trying to overcomplicate their build-up play. And as with Leeds, they managed to get the all-important 3 points against Barnsley. It wasn't pretty. They looked pretty strong in the first 20 minutes, but then as soon as Barnsley started pressing and got really aggressive on the ball, Leeds almost kind of kittied out a little bit and just allowed Barnsley to play their style of football and was just hoping that Barnsley were not going to score. I think not having Calvin Phillips in the central defensive midfield makes a huge difference. It's almost like 2 different teams because you get rid of the spine of the team, and when you don't have a spine, your team is significantly weaker. I generally think Calvin Phillips is the spine of that team, but they have Michael Solbauer to thank by putting the ball in his own net. I think Derby's going to be a tougher test. Leeds only now need 1 point to secure automatic promotion. It could either be a boring 0-0 draw and they'll still get promotion. They can have 11 players in the penalty box, and if they get a 0-0 out of that, they'll be in the Premier League. They are literally within touching distance. Derby have had a poor record against Leeds United, which will encourage Leeds fans in recent years. But I think Derby will be more up for this. Having said that, I think Leeds will find a way not to lose. I'm actually going to say a 1-1 draw. And if that does happen, Leeds will be in the Premier League and it'll be amazing. It'll be the first Premier League season I properly watch with a Leeds United team in it. And before we move on, FIFA 20 has a goal, and wow, the scenes of the Leeds United players emote such joy. Let's see what's happened.
That is right. Is this the goal that takes Leeds to the Premier League? Most potentially. Calvin Phillips is to thank with an outstanding long ball. He won't be available for Leeds in real life though. But Jack Harrison collects the ball and drives through Derby's defence. He squares it to Patrick Bamford onside, and even he could have missed from that close range. According to FIFA 20, Leeds will be promoted to the Premier League. 0-1 Leeds, the 4th 0-1 in FIFA 20 simulation so far.
FIFA 20 thinks that Leeds will do 1 better and win the game. Hopefully the game is a cracker. Final game this weekend is Barnsley versus Nottingham Forest. Barnsley put in a fantastic performance against Leeds. They were really unlucky not to score. They had so many chances, and the fact they put Leeds under so much pressure, a team that likes to hog the ball, possession stats are pretty equal between the two sides. They were really up for this game, and I watched it live, and honestly, Barnsley looked really dangerous. Anytime Leeds made a mistake, Barnsley really capitalised. The problem was, in the final third, they always seem to panic and they don't really seem to know what to do when they get into the final third, which is the most important part on playing football, is scoring goals. But I've seen some positive things in this young team, and if they do get relegated for League One, I am expecting them to make an immediate return, especially if they keep Gerard Struber in charge as well. As in Nottingham Forest, they had a point against Swansea, maybe a little bit disappointing that they did manage to get 3 points at home. Both teams are struggling with form, both teams have not won in their last 4 games, but Barnsley need this win more. They need to win. If they don't win, or even if they draw, then results around them could start determining whether they've sealed their fate relegated into League One. So a win is most definitely required for Barnsley. For me, if they play like they did against Leeds, I think they'll get something. And you see with Nottingham Forest, they sometimes play good, but then at times they can trip up. I think that will exactly happen. I'm going to say a 2-1 home victory to Barnsley, but I'm putting my neck on the line a little bit. And finally, FIFA 20 has got 1 final goal to report. And oh dear, Barnsley have now looked like they've got the impossible mountain to climb. That mountain being survival.
That is right, we've got a late goal at Oakwell, and it's a huge blow for Barnsley. They are 0-1 down, which can seal their relegation back to League One. It's from a throw-in from João Carvalho, who will get the plaudits. He holds the ball well and has great quality in the cross to pick out Semedo, who rises above everyone to have a powering header to get past Collins. 0-1, Nottingham Forest.
FIFA 20 thinks Nottingham Forest will win by 1-0. Let's see who's right. That wraps up my score predictions. The table on your left right now is what the championship table would look like after 45 games are played, but if all my score predictions came true. As you can see, Leeds United 88 points, third place Brentford 84. Possible for Leeds to lose their automatic promotion now if they'll be in the Premier League. West Brom only 1 point above Brentford, so the race for the final promotion place will go on to the final day of the season. My goodness me, that's exciting. If results stay the same, Cardiff will actually automatically secure their place in the top 6 since they breach a 4-point gap from 8th place Millwall. So that's a really interesting turnaround of events as well. And as you look into the relegation zone, you'll see Hull rock bottom on 45 points, Barnsley on 46, and Charlton on 47. Luton outside of the relegation zone. If you apply the 12-point deduction, Wigan will also have 48 points as well. What a roller coaster this season can be. If you guys like what you want to see more content, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps. Let's get to 200 subscribers as soon as we can. But thank you guys so much for watching. We've got a really good weekend ahead of us. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, take care.